Are you and I living in the days of Elijah? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah. Normally we would be going to the Torah portion readings, but this week we're going to be looking at things pertaining to Pesach. The rabbis have set aside for us some special select scriptures to focus on. I'd like to take a little different path. I'd like to go to 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse number 21. Let me read that for you. And Eliyahu came to all the people and said, "How long will you keep hopping between two opinions? If Yahweh is Elohim, follow him. And if Baal, follow him." But the people answered him not a word. Eliyahu, Elijah the prophet, he was an incredible personality who appeared suddenly in Ahab's court, pointed a finger at him and said, "Because of your gross sins against Yahweh Elohim of Israel, there will not be any rain on this land until I say so," and walked out. Drought ensued for 3 years, and Ahab and his kingdom were brought to a place of complete despair, brokenness, and bewilderment. Eliyahu, the book of Malachi says in chapter 4, verse 5 and 6, "See, I am sending you, Eliyahu the prophet, before the coming of the great and awesome day of Yahweh. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the earth with utter destruction." So it is the prophet Eliyahu who has a ministry of restoration and reconciliation. He has a calling upon his life to spare great judgment. And do we not need his ministry in our day? Yeshua says that if you are willing to receive it, it is Yochanan the Immerser, John the Baptist, who fulfilled this prophecy. But we should also understand that prophecies have more than one opportunity for fulfillment. Certainly, Yochanan the Immerser was one who walked in the mantle and anointing, the ministry of Eliyahu in his day, but we also need Eliyahu in our day. I find it very interesting that in the traditional Seder that there is a point where children are sent to the door to look and see if Eliyahu is standing outside. Spiritually speaking, he is standing outside of our doors. And as Yeshua said in the book of Revelation, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." Eliyahu, representing the heart and the character of Yeshua, is standing at the doors and knocking, asking you and I if we're willing to receive the ministry of restoration and reconciliation. You see, the issue is right understanding of what the Torah is saying to us and righteously applying it to our hearts. There is an ability to read the Word, the Torah in particular, and see it as it has been described by Christian theologians as merely the law that has been done away with and replaced by grace and mercy. While I love my Christian brethren, while I have family who still are a vital part of their local church, and I applaud them and love them very much, it is this understanding that the Torah is merely a legalistic code of impossible to keep laws and regulations that has been done away with by the death, burial, and resurrection of our Messiah that has caused us much division. Yah in our day seeks to bring about restoration. While we need to understand all of the powerful, vital work that Yeshua has accomplished for us, we should also understand that he is this law, this list of commands, and that they're not impossible to keep. Matter of fact, Yeshua says, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments." So we should understand then to embrace the Torah is to embrace Yeshua, and to embrace Yeshua is to embrace the Torah. Elijah the prophet has been gifted with a very special anointing to accomplish that. Now, will we see the man physically appear in our day? Or will that mantle of his anointing reside upon a people who become, as Rav Shaul, the Apostle Paul, called for, ministers of reconciliation? Instead of hurling insults and causing divisions, you and I should be reaching out our arms and seeking to embrace those that even disagree with us, loving them and encourage them to have a right understanding of the word of Elohim, not out of vehement arguments and fierce debates, but by a demonstrated lifestyle of the great joy that comes from a life of obedience. Now let's look a little bit further into the ministry of Eliyahu. He stood up before a king who had specialized in creating evil. Ahab not only thought it a great thing to bring idolatry into the land of Israel, the 10 northern tribes, but he also married himself to Jezebel, daughter of the king of the Sidonians, who was an expert priestess in the ways of paganism. And between the two of them, they caused Israel to excel in idolatry. Yah had had enough. The way that this was formed is that they not only embraced idolatry and worship Baal, but they did it in the name of Yud-He-Vav-He. Remember the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. It was he who caused pagan mixture to be the rule of the day. He instituted calf worship. He changed the days of the feast and created new feast days. He raised up a priesthood that were not from the house of Levi. He caused the people to bow down to idols and to call on the name of Yud-He-Vav-He, a sin of mixture that Yah totally rejected and brought great judgment upon the land for this sin. Eliyahu boldly walks into Ahab's palace, points the finger, and says, "It will not rain on the land until I say so," and walked out. Now Ahab originally laughed and thought it a funny thing until the heavens dried up and not a single drop of rain fell on the land for 3 years. They came to a place of great desperation. There was then this curse, this sin that had ravaged the land, and it had to be brought to a day of reckoning. You and I are currently living in days that are miraculous. Now, while the headlines are filled with grave concerns about how many people are going to die this week from the coronavirus, they're looking into the television cameras and saying to us that this is the key week that we're going to see a great increase in the loss of life. I think it is time for the people of Elohim to point our finger and say, how long will you halt between two opinions? How long will you begin to worship Yahweh? You can call on his name. We've been asked by our federal government leadership, even our president, it's time to pray. It's time to call on the name of God. Which God? Which idol are we talking about? Or are we talking about the true Elohim of Israel, the only one who is Elohim? Who are we going to call on? Is this a call for every man to call on his God to the best of his ability? Or are we being asked to seek the one true living Elohim? It is time for you and I to make up our minds. Which Elohim, which God are we going to serve? The one of religious traditions? Are we going to celebrate with bunnies and eggs laying in a field, eating a ham on Sunday afternoon? Or are we going to seek after him who is most set apart, applying the blood of the Passover lamb over the doors of our hearts, setting aside ourselves with our families to celebrate a meal of remembrance that we need to be delivered? We need our priesthood raised up again for us. We need mighty men of Elohim to rise up and lead us in righteousness and to turn from our wicked ways that we might be delivered. We're going to talk more about this throughout the days of this week. Join me each day. I look forward to seeing you. And until tomorrow, shalom.